I've talked plenty on the channel about the perception and misperception of upside as being related to like traditional athletic tools and run jump athleticism, tall guys shoot threes, when in reality it's tied to different things. One of the most important to me being having a special trait to lean on. Oftentimes players who are well-rounded, jack of all trades, don't have a special trait but seem quote-unquote cleaner in translating, are less high-ceiling bets than someone like Washington freshman Hannes Steinbach, a tweener big with some obvious translation issues, but he is one of the most special offensive rebounders I've ever seen from a freshman. His hands, his strength, his coordination, his touch, you'll routinely see him grabbing rebounds over 3 or 4 defenders. That's Ade Mara and Jaxa Lendeberg, two guys who are going to play in the NBA, and yet Steinbach sticks his left hand out, taps the ball to himself, grabs it in traffic, and then he's falling down, gets fouled by a third defender, and is still able to put the ball in the basket. But if I had to pick one number one trait that is truly special for Steinbach, it is his hands and his catch radius, which is not something you usually talk about with basketball players, but with Steinbach, you throw the ball anywhere in his vicinity, he's probably going to come down with it. Look at how he stretches out his arms. He has 7'1", 7'2" wingspan, apexes that ball, keeps it high so no guards or anyone could come and swipe it down, and he easily finishes. And Steinbach's special stuff, his rebounding, his hands, his touch, are the foundation of my case for him as a much better prospect than he gets credit for. So like, comment, subscribe for some Hannes Steinbach talk. We're not going to go all the way in depth on his game. I'll do an in-depth Steinbach scout at some point, but this is not a great entry pass, and the trajectory has it arcing straight to the defender, but Steinbach has the length to sky over him, snag the ball with 2 hands, and then dunk that shit. It is really incredible how good I think he will be at quick sealing, and again, we see the length as a scoring tool. He has excellent touch with both hands. Look how close he gets the ball to the backboard, not giving the shot blocker any time to go get it. And I love this reply that someone replied to me on Twitter one time when I posted that last Steinbach clip. It is hilarious how big his hands are, and I would estimate that he's going to measure in with some of the best hand size in recent history. Shout out to this person with a database since 2020, so a little outdated, but 2020 to 1990 whatever, there's only a couple players with 10 length, 10 width hand size. And of course, even below that, you have like your Kawhi Leonard, Jaren Jackson, Mo Bamba, Rudy Gobert, just absolute giants of giants in terms of hands. I think Hannes is definitely going to fit in that group, and his rebounding skill, incredible rebounding numbers for his age, and just his statistical profile overall is really good. 25% defensive rebound rate and 14% offensive rebound rate for an under 21 high conference player is exceedingly rare. Not a lot of players since 2008 have met those benchmarks, and a lot of the ones who got drafted ended up being really good, long-time productive NBA players in the range of all the way from superstars Blake Griffin to like a DeJuan Blair, who carved out a long career as a role player. And having these special things to lean on is just such a boon for prospect development. Steinbach, 70% at the rim on 200 attempts without that many dunks. I mean, he is an incredible touch finisher, but in the open floor, he is coordinated, he is fluid, and he can make some ridiculous plays that you just don't expect based on, like, he's not that evidently fast or explosive, but he can get up and mash the ball in transition. And again, he just has so much length to extend and get his arms out. But Steinbach's incredible touch extends all over the floor, and it's part of why I at least have some confidence in his shot despite the relatively low volume, which you don't like to see. Fine for a big, but solid free throw shooter, and of course the non-rim 2-point scoring is very encouraging. And Steinbach, if he can unlock this shooting, has so much handling and perimeter skill for this archetype where he's initially going to drive right, and most big size players cannot slide to cut off a drive and then immediately slide the other way when Steinbach hits the spin move, so it's easy scoop left hand layup. Once again, the touch, he gets so close to the rim, and Steinbach's ability to play patiently consistently hit these touch shots. He's so good playing off of 2 feet. I think he has truly special interior scoring potential as a rebounder and as a roll and lob threat. So even though he's not like a crazy self-creator, I think next to great passers, next to offenses that like to enter the ball into the post, you don't have to do a lot to get Steinbach these high-value touches. And his passing is solid to me. My main limitation from keeping him even higher on my board than I want to is probably the playmaking and the limited feel, but after an offensive rebound, he's plenty capable kicking the ball out. He's a very solid short roll and post passer as well, making these connective reads. And you see, once again, Steinbach keeping the ball high. He's not going to even think about bringing the ball down. He's just going to tap the ball out to the corner for a wide open 3. When the pass is right in front of Steinbach, he can often make it. This was one of his higher level passes I saw on tape this year, slipping into the short roll, jumping off of 2 feet like he's going up to the basket. 3 defenders converge, and he hits the cutter who can't make the layup, but of course Steinbach taps in the rebound because that is what Hannes Steinbach does. But I am somewhat concerned about his feel and processing on the move, especially against help, where Steinbach has a couple options here. He could pass back to number 0 on the wing. He could try to throw up an interior pass to a big with some position. He could kick out to the perimeter, but Steinbach deliberates. He doesn't pick an option, and he ends up turning the ball over just because I don't think his like spatial awareness and processing speed are that great. And sometimes you'll see him misreading help on a play like this, where the ball, if it's going to come out, needs to come out here, right? It needs to come out before this helper can sink down like he's about to and take away that pass. So it's subtle things, but these are the differences between like good and great passers at the NBA level. And I think Steinbach's awareness of this help, of digs, right? There's a hard stunt coming. A good option would be to just pass to the short corner and create a wide open 3, but Steinbach doesn't see it early enough and loses the ball. Those feel moments are going to be key for him. Decision making in space. That to me is going to raise his ceiling beyond what I think his floor could be, which is going to be a productive, impactful NBA player. He's a much better defensive player than he gets credit for. I'm going to do a whole video on that at some point. I will promise that. But like I said, Steinbach's hands really do enable unique offense that I think works a lot with the modern NBA that's going with bigger lineups, more offensive rebounding focus. And Steinbach really fits in with the kind of preternatural touch, hands, catch radius, and rebounding to provide elite value in those areas. So I think oftentimes we think of star bets as players who look the part. Long, lanky, athletic wings, or an electric on-ball point guard, or a big shot-blocking center. But in reality, stars are any basketball player who greatly warps the game by their presence, who has gravity, who forces defenses and offenses to exit their comfort zones. And that's exactly what Steinbach, I think, has a chance to be. And for that, I would take him very high in the 2026 draft. And in a lot of drafts that aren't as strong, I would have him in the top 5 probably. I think he's that good. So let me know what you think of Hannes Steinbach and his offensive upside. Like, comment, subscribe, all that stuff would really help the channel. And thank y'all so much for watching today's video.